If you guys want to start it out with a statement, or should we open for questions?
Les, you want to go ahead?
Boy, I wasn't prepared for an opening statement, but it was obviously fun to get rolling again and drafting and maneuvering a little bit and trying to find some football players to help us. And I think we were able to accomplish that tonight where we were picking. There was an element of waiting and letting the draft come to you a little bit because if you want to call it there's a lot of enemies in front of us that, made decisions for us. But we were jacked the way it turned out, and we were jacked to get a couple picks or add a fourth rounder for tomorrow. So, and have 3 in round 4.
All right. Go ahead, Jordan.
Hey, my first question is for Les. First of all, Les, hope you're feeling a little bit better today. And
thank you.
Can you take us through the trade? I think it was a surprise to many people to see the 49ers as the partners there. And then if you could dissect sort of the term agreement and how you felt that worked out for you guys.
Well, it is interesting, right? I guess it's not game day. I guess it's kosher to trade within the division, but I think what it was at that point in time, we did feel like moving back then, we like where our board was. We did feel like some of our favorite players would fall to 103. And so, and it did work out because we would have picked Ernest at 88. And we were able to land him at 103. So being able to, add another fourth round, have 3 tomorrow, we feel like was a positive thing for the Rams.
And Sean, heard an interesting comp on NFL Network about Tutu Atwell, and someone said that he had reminded you of Deshaun Jackson, and obviously the connection between you two goes way back. And I'm wondering if you can expand on that evaluation of him and why you guys were very eager to get him at 57.
Yeah, I think first of all, Deshaun is a great player that's been producing at a high level for a long, long time, Jordan. And I think he's one of the all-time great deep threats, but he's a great football player that provides so much value. So we're excited about having Deshaun. That's a huge compliment. That's big shoes to fill. But I think there's some similarities in terms of, the ability to stretch the top shelf of the coverage. I think he really does an excellent job of tracking the ball effortlessly down the field. One of the things that I think makes Deshaun so special is just how quiet he remains in his lower half when the ball goes in the air and where he can go find it. You see some similarities. Now, Deshaun's been doing it for a long, long time, but like the competitiveness of Tutu, like everything that he stands for, the explosiveness, the playmaking ability. So we're excited about being able to add him to a really deep group. When you talk about Robert, Cooper, Deshaun, you guys know how much I love Van Jefferson. So to be able to add another guy that can make plays in that room is a big time get for us. And being able to put players around Matthew was an important thing for us.
And then, sorry guys, one more. I know his experience as a return specialist is somewhat limited, but does he have the traits that you guys would want to see, give him a try and see if he can compete there?
Yeah, I think it's an option, Jordan. Like you said, the best way to evaluate is the opportunities. And I think he has a lot of the skills that you would like to say project well, but, tracking punts in live action, making those decisions, and then being able to create, once the ball's in your hands, that's usually pretty natural for a lot of those guys. But there is a specific skilled, nuanced skill set that guys, possess as returners. And he has some of the things that project, but like you mentioned, not a whole lot of experience there.
Lindsay?
Sean, a lot of the draft pundits kind of make a big to-do over Tutu's size. What do you make of his size and being 155 pounds?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I see a player that plays a lot bigger than that. I've been around some of these guys that don't measure as big, but they play big. He seems like a friendly target on those intermediate and down the field routes. I think he does an excellent job of playing big where he's going up. I see him high point some balls down the field. And so I think that's where we always talk about it, Lindsay, that the tape guides our decision-making. You don't want to be naive to the facts of some of the just the overall stature and size. But I've been around a lot of guys that measure the same, and different guys play big. Brandon Cooks is supposedly a smaller player, and I know he's a lot stronger and more physical, but he plays big down the field. And so we hope that Tutu does those same things. Deshaun, I think that's a fair comp. That's a big major comp when you talk about what Deshaun has done. But I'm a big fan of those guys that might be small, but do they play big, and are they friendly targets for the quarterback? And that's what we see in Tutu.
And Sean, far less serious, but what's up with the Roger Goodell portrait in your draft room?
That's, you know what? It looks good. It's a good picture. I don't know. I did not choose it, but I did like the picture. And,
you know what, Lindsay, it's from the Rebel Wilson video.
Maybe he planted it when he got COVID.
But it was in the Rebel Wilson video. In the draft house.
See, my Rebel Wilson video shoot was with not even her here. I was talking to nobody. So
that outtake was quite the outtake. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that was.
What outtake are you talking about, Lindsay?
I don't have a dirty mouth like that, Lindsay.
Maria?
Les, first of all, for you, I hope you are feeling better. And for both of you, you're going to have 3 picks tomorrow. It's going to move a little quicker. Do you sort of know who you're looking at, or, do you make those last minute decisions as it comes upon you?
We do have a list of players, but I think what we'll do between now and because really we were working somewhat off a board where, second and third rounders, and now we'll probably have to go add a few players, to the the list tomorrow. So we'll refine it over the next 24 hours, not less than 24 hours, however many hours it is, and determine where we're at, who we picked, and what we might need, and things like that. So, it gets fun when you have it gets that time of year when you are that part of the draft where there'll be a lot of position coaches fighting for different players, just because you only have, I think we got 3 in the 4th and maybe a 6 and a 7th. So got to figure it out.
And Sean, are you guys both on video the whole time? Or are you on the phone with each other, or how's it working?
Yeah, we're in constant communication, Maria, whether it's us talking on the phone or having a video conference up that allows us to kind of consistently communicate. But they did a great job today, Maria, and you see the hard work that's been put in by Les and his group, and then really our coaches as well, where, you end up with 2 players that we all really felt strongly about. I think the value where you end up being able to acquire a player like Ernest Jones is something that we felt really, really good about. And then looking forward to attacking tomorrow the right way and being able to pick up, those 2 early fourths, I think puts us in a really good position when you talk about how early you get to pick and you get a day to kind of really get everything together and get your thoughts and everything aligned. And I think tomorrow's going to be another good day for us.
Thanks.
Greg?
Les, you've only picked 3 linebackers in the first 3 rounds during your 10 drafts. Can you tell us what made Ernest Jones stand out to use that 88th, or as it turned out, the 103rd pick on him? And how much of, was it a combination of need and his skills, or what was it that made him such a lock for you guys?
It's in a good question, Greg. We always have, when you start evaluating these players, if you want to call it your favorite football players, and I stress the word football because he's such a instinctive player, figures it out in there. It's a tough little area to play behind the box there, especially nowadays with what Sean and the coordinators doing and jet motions and all the stuff going on. So things happen fast. He just got that knack to go find the ball, avoid blockers. And he's got some interesting, traits where a longer arm human being, so that allows him to blitz, use his hands to probably bat those longer tackles' arms down and get the QB, and also go. It's tough to throw him. He's really, really sound in zone coverage and has made some picks. And I call it, with guys with long arms, it's tough to shoot over them as a QB. But I always say fun football player, because it's just one of those guys. Whether you draft him or not, make sure you watch him, because he's got a knack for going to find the football. And one of our top leaders probably rated number 1. And there's some guys that would have tied him, right? But we got this rating system that we rate potential leaders and just one of those kids you pull for. He's got those special traits, so look forward to working with him.
Sean, what did you think of Ernest, and what did Raheem think, and where does he fit in? Where does he stand out to you?
Yeah, same type of thing. I think he's got a great presence about himself. Thought it was really helpful too, our scouts background, but then also Thomas Brown, our assistant head coach, he had been with him at South Carolina, could really attest to the type of leader that he is, the communicator, the competitor. Start hearing our scouts and coaches talk about the comparisons, and then you just watch the play energy and the way he brings everybody, kind of elevates them around him. Those are things that we're really excited about, being able to get him in the building and get to work with him and seeing what he provides for that inside linebacker group, where a lot of guys got a lot of great production and playing time last year, for the first time in their careers.
Nick?
Hey, Sean, you talked about just the depth of the wide receiver core. How much do you feel like that will aid, Matthew Stafford as far as just moving forward in its new system this season?
Yeah, I think it'll be a big deal, to be able to surround him with playmakers, Nick, keeping guys fresh. We have some really important players at that receiver group that have played a significant amount of snaps, but I think it's important to be able to keep them fresh throughout the course of games, and then also the season, playing 17 games, and hopefully you give yourself an op to compete afterwards. But the more weapons you can surround yourself with offensively, especially around a player like Matthew Stafford, that's really important to us. And I think what we've got is a great complement, guys that have different skill sets, but really valuable skill sets, almost as if you're looking at it when you got your 5 eligibles, kind of like a basketball starting lineup, to be able to really stretch people horizontally, vertically, and can kind of threaten people in a bunch of different ways. And when you have a quarterback that can, really activate all those parts of the field with the ability he has as a thrower, that was something that we wanted to be intentional about, going and attacking. And Tutu definitely brings that, as did Deshaun, and those 2 additions to our already solid group is exciting.
And this next question is for you, Sean, and Les. We always talk about the physicalities and what you guys can do on the field, but how much does character do you guys look at of these 2 guys, in Ernest as well as Tutu? How much does that play a factor in you drafting these 2 individuals?
Yeah, it's huge, Nick. I think that's a really important part of it. I think when you look at our guys, I think you can attest to this from covering us. We got quality people. I think you want to find guys that have the ability, but they're also wired the right way above the neck. And, we talk about the football character with the accountability and the coachability. I think if you don't love football and you're not about the right kind of stuff day in and day out, you stick out like a sore thumb amongst our group of men that we have in our locker room. And that's definitely a big part of it. And I think these 2 guys will fit in really well with, the already really great group that we have.
Kevin?
And the one thing when you vet these 2 young men, passion for football always comes up. They love football. They're the types can't live without it types, future coach types. Football is their North Star for good or for bad. But as we all know, when you're passionate about something, that's your North Star. Usually it works out. But when you vet these 2 guys, you get that a lot.
Well said.
Kevin?
Sean, it sounds as if Tutu will have a chance to contribute immediately, but to what extent is this also a chance for him to kind of understudy with Deshaun Jackson, a similar player, and learn from a guy who's 34 and obviously not going to play forever?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. I think, what Tutu has a unique opportunity to do is to come in and learn from really some great veterans that have produced at a high level. He's going to get a chance to come in and compete and add depth to a great group. How big that role is up to him. And, we're looking forward to seeing what he does. But, you talk about being able to have great representations of what it looks like day in and day out to be a pro in this league. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and being around Deshaun, those are excellent mentors. And like I keep talking about, I think the ceiling is very high, and I think the future is so bright for Van Jefferson as well.
And Ernest Jones, do you see him with a big chance to start right away?
I think it's about competing, Kevin. I think both of these guys, we saw tremendous value being able to contribute to our football team that already has really a lot of depth. And, like we mentioned earlier, think when you look at that inside linebacker group, kind of similar to our offensive line a couple years ago, we had a lot of young players playing that gained valuable experience in games that really mattered. You look at Micah Kaiser getting the first opportunity to play significant snaps, what Kenny was able to do. Troy Reeder just stepped in and did his thing. You're getting a guy in Trevin Howard that we have a lot of confidence in coming back off of IR. And then you add Ernest Jones to the mix. That's an exciting possibility for what that group can be. Behind Raheem and Chris Shula's leadership, and we're excited to add him to the mix. And again, what these guys' role ends up becoming is a result of what they do when they come in and compete and if they earn it.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
We'll wrap up with Jarrett, Kurt, and then Gary, please.
Oh, hi, everybody. Les, hope you're feeling better. I know you talked about this yesterday, just the circumstances that kind of came up, but can you tell us a little bit about how the day went for you personally? And I mean, where are you, in your garage or where?
Yeah, I call it, it's kind of a Jared, it's a garage slash home office slash weight room to my left, slash, you know, a lot of things happen in this garage, but it's pretty cool. I ended up after the draft last year, you know, when we basically went remote, what have you, you know, I enjoy working out here just because I open the doors here and you kind of get that outdoor living, Southern Cal, enjoy the weather, Jared. So, but that's where I'm at, in the garage.
Hey, Jared, I say he looks too good to be having COVID. He's faking it, man. He just wanted to stay at home and do his deal that he did last year. He looks too healthy to have COVID right now.
Well, let's hope it stays that way. What did last year do for just, you know, the whole, I would imagine you got your plan and how you're going to do things, and all of a sudden this comes up. So the fact that you went through last year, did that have a factor on how things went? And did you have any glitches today?
No, last year probably propelled us to doing the draft house per se, right? You knew you could take the show on the road from a technology standpoint. Now our IT group may vote against the draft house just because they're the ones that carry the load. So I give them credit too, because there was an element of an audible in that when Sean and I came in close contact early in the week, we knew we were going to be testing daily, and you know, you were one strike away from all of a sudden, not only we're setting up the draft house, but you know, also my garage per se. So give those guys credit, but I mean, just as we're talking now, this is probably how Sean and myself chat and a few others during the draft. You know, we're talking about players, we're watching the boards, we both got the same computer, so it's about as close to being in the same room as possible. So, but I appreciate you all asking me on how I feel. I can tell you I'm not a huge pain, I call it medication person. When I say pain medication, Advil. So yesterday, right before the draft, I took my dosage of Advil and felt really good. So today, Jared, I woke up and I knew I had the virus, and what I did was go, okay, let me time out. I'm gonna take 2 doses of Advil before the draft instead of just 1. So I scheduled my day. All right, I'm gonna feel bad up until I think it was about 11 or 12, and then at 12 took some Advil and started feeling good. So I'm fortunate in that way. But appreciate you asking.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, Sean, can you tell me on the depth of your offense, do you feel like you can do things now offensively that you couldn't do, or do you feel more creative between getting Tutu tonight and the offseason moves you made on offense?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would say, Kurt, is that we were able to add guys that bring an elite trait in terms of the ability to stretch the top shelf of the defense. You know, that's not exclusive to the ways that you can utilize these guys, but you know, we do want to become a more explosive offense. It starts with opportunities, and I've got to be able to call those plays and give our players to make those plays down the field or really create them. And it's not having to catch the ball down the field. You can get run after catches and things like that, but we do feel like these guys are nice complements to an already really good group that we had in place. I think their skill sets are great complements to the groups that we have. When you look at the running backs, the tight ends and the already, solid group of receivers. So how many different ways can we activate and really put pressure on the defense with our 5 eligibles, and ultimately play really well as a unit collectively, all 11. And so those 2 guys definitely, we have a vision for them, and then their ability to make it come to life is something that we're looking forward to see.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we'll wrap up with you, Gary.
Sean and Les, how much of your evaluation and bringing in Atwell has to do with insurance, kind of in light of Sean's struggles with injuries the last couple of seasons? Is it a little bit of an insurance policy as a deep threat?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I will say this, Gary, very nice job accelerating the unmute to ask the question. I see improvement right there. I think it was just a player that we really always, like when you look at it, you go back to Les's work with his group and James and so many of our scouts that do an outstanding job. They had identified him as a guy that could provide value. But there's no limit on the amount of guys that you have that skill set in terms of being able to threaten the defense vertically. He was a guy that we felt good about. I think the receiver position was something that we anticipated potentially, using a pick on fairly early with the picks that we did have. And Tutu was a player that we felt good about. But, we're optimistic and we're hopeful that Deshaun will stay healthy as well. Because he has the production when he's on the field, the way that he can contribute is something that we were really excited about adding him. And hopefully we'll avoid some of those kind of freak injuries that he sustained that kept him off the grass the last couple of years.
If I add anything, Gary, I think what's interesting is like a lot of questions right after the season. I know a lot of y'all on this call asked about, hey, do we need if you want to call it deep threat? Probably meant fast. So we identified Tutu and a few other receivers in this draft, like that had like this rare, unique ability to explode off the ball and keep running fast the longer the down whip. But that doesn't happen every year. Doesn't mean so. Some years it's a big receiver group. Some years, but this draft did have a few receivers that were going to probably measure up near the top in terms of that. If you want to call it that speed, that juice, that deep threat that we were all talking about after the season. So it was one like, all right, we better, whether you have Deshaun or not, you better attack while you can, because it might be a couple drafts before you get a few of those guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.